Okay, so I'm a graphic designer and a web developer, which means that I'm pretty regularly working with some really big files, Photoshop files, InDesign files, Illustrator files, and then a bunch of code files, sketch files, a ton of different really big files. And just recently, obviously, thanks in part due to this YouTube channel, I'm now starting to work a lot more with videos and with photos. So what that poses as a challenge for me, and maybe it's a challenge for you as well, is storage. Now, most of us have some sort of laptop or computer, and for the average computer, you're gonna have about a terabyte of space. So for most of us, that's gonna be plenty. That's gonna be plenty to hold a collection of photos and then a lot of documents and email attachments. But once you start getting into the realm of video or larger file types or a lot of photos, or if you're starting to do any type of software, whatever type of practice you have, storage starts to become a problem, and 1 terabyte, at least I've found, can fill up really quickly. So one of the things I tried to do to remedy that is I have a ton of different external hard drives. I have like 2 or 3 8 terabyte hard drives, but one of the problems that comes with working with a ton of different external hard drives is that portability starts to become an issue. Once you start plugging in 1, 2, 3 different external hard drives, again, it's just like the sheer amount of desk space you have, or even just the hassle of trying to keep so many drives organized, and what file is on which drive, and what happens if one of those drives fail. I've actually had a hard drive fail on me before. Fortunately, they're all backed up. But what I have, one of the frustrations I've had as I've been working with all these different files is I just need a place where I can safely archive all of the files I'm not presently working on. So if there's a set of files that are quote unquote active that I'm working on right now, I want those to be on my computer. I want them to be easily accessible right now. All the files that I'm done with, all my raw video footage, all my raw photo files, all my old Photoshop files, I want all those to be saved and backed up. I just don't need them right now. So one of the solutions I've had to that is Dropbox, which works okay. They have their selective or smart sync, which allows you to just sync it up to Dropbox, but it can get pretty pricey. It's like $75. You have to upgrade to their business solution if you want to get anything substantial in terms of space. I think it maxes out at like 2 or 3 gigs unless you go to the team version, and then you're paying for like 3 or 4 accounts, and it just gets really hairy. So recently what I decided to try was Amazon S3. So Amazon S3, if you're not familiar with it, is just scalable cloud hosting, cloud hosting service, which means that you only pay for what you use. And not only that, it's actually really, really affordable. I think the last pricing that I saw was just I think it's 0.023 cents per gig of space, which is great. And I think they got a pretty extensive like free tier as well. So until you start getting into terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data, you're not even going to spend hardly anything when it comes to using their storage. One of the downsides to using Amazon S3 is that it can be a little bit technical. It can be a little bit difficult to get set up. It's technically designed and developed for developers and using their API and using it for their apps or their services, but I'm going to show you today how you can get it up and running really easily and actually use it for some of your own storage if you're looking for an off-site solution. If you're kind of like me and you're like, I'm running out of space, or I just want a place where I can archive files I'm not using right now in a really affordable fashion. So let's jump to it. So what I'm looking at right here, this is Amazon S3 for me. So what I've done is I've created 2 what Amazon refers to as buckets, and you can create, I think, up to 100 buckets under one account. And it's just what you'd expect. It's just you can go in here and you can create folders and you can upload files. And you can just use this web browser if you want. You can use this platform to just jump in here. Like here's where I'm saving a lot of my individual video shoots. And then at any point in time, I can just drag and drop files right in here using the browser. But what I've decided to do, and which you can do too, is actually use a client instead. So kind of like an FTP client. I use one that's called Transmit. So Transmit is actually an FTP client. I'll go ahead and open it. But what's really neat is that if you get a client like Transmit, you do have to pay for Transmit. I know that they do have some other free alternatives out there. And if you're on Windows, let's take a look here. You can just search Amazon S3 clients. And you're going to find a bunch of free ones out there. Here's a collection right here. And again, a lot of these are either free or really cheap. And they're just going to allow you to, see this one, here's one for Windows. They're going to allow you to use Amazon S3 just like it were a file browser within your computer. And the benefit of that, of course, is that you're working all off-site. This is not taking any space up on your computer to work. So let's take a look here. I've got it predefined right here. And then when I connect, I then have access to this, and I can drag any number of files that I want to. In fact, let's just go ahead and just do a quick test. So I have, here's my video library. So if I want to access something that I had been working on, I can just literally drag this to my desktop. And it is online, so you do have to, it does depend upon how fast your internet speed is. So we're talking right here. This is 8 gigs of space, and that might take a little bit of time. Looks like it's speeding up a little bit. So 26 minutes, but that's 8 gigs of data. So you do have to keep in mind that if you're working with really, really big files, you do have to deal with your internet speed. But again, my solution here isn't necessarily for files I'm going to be working with every single day. That's not why I decided to use this. I'm using this as my archive, something that I just want to use to just store files and never have to worry about running out of space. Another thing that you can do as well is use this as a backup. So if you wanted to, you can create a folder here, and if you're ever worried about something that you're working on, you don't have an automated backup system set up quite yet, then you can just create a folder in here, and you can just drag all of the files in there that you want to make sure stay backed up. As with anything, what's going to make this really work for you is to create some sort of naming convention. So you can copy mine if you want. What I'm doing with my video files specifically is I have actually created, let's see, so I've created a automated workflow that actually creates a new folder for me. So what I do is name my video shoot, save it on the desktop. And so my actual naming convention is the year, the month, and then the date. And so I know that all my files will always be organized into folders that are chronologically ordered. So that's my personal strategy, the thing that I've found really useful. And then again, like I mentioned, you can just go in here and you can upload files via this, or you can get some sort of external service to do this as well. So then to take a quick look here, let's go ahead and start a new browser window, and let's get this all set up. So let's go to Amazon S3, and let's kind of jump through the process. So it's just going to be this first one right here. And all you want to do to get started is just click Get Started with Amazon S3. Okay, so we're going to create a new AWS account. Let's go ahead and create a quick password. Okay, go ahead and you can also create a personal one. I think for this, just the sake of this example, actually I will go ahead and, I'm not actually going to complete this whole thing. I'll probably just stop here just because I already have an account, don't really want to go through the process of creating another one. But all you got to do is create your account, go in, fill out all the information that they have. And then either A, you can just use this web interface, or like I said, you can go in and you can actually set up using something like Transmit. Let's go ahead and start a new, that's still copying over. But what you can do is you can actually go in here, fill in the information that they have. This is part of the reason why I really like Transmit. They already have a setting for it. So you just pick Amazon S3, you keep this address right here, and then from your account you get your access ID and your secret ID, and that's it. You just punch those two things in, hit save, and you are immediately connected to your Amazon S3, and you can just start dragging and throwing files in here as much as you want. And one of the other things, I'll just show you a nice little place where you can take a look at the amount of usage that you're using as well. So if I go Amazon S3, sign into console. You can also use their cost explorer, which is nice. You can see how much you're going to spend. Right now I'm spending, based upon what I've done right now and based upon their free tier, I'm spending a whopping total of 10 cents. So if you want to know the pricing, you can just go to Amazon S3 pricing. It's going to be right here. Actually, no, let's see, that's not it. There it is. And then they're going to give you the pricing. See, it's pretty amazing. It's 0.023 cents per gigabyte per month. So that's for the first 50 terabytes. And I think they give you up to 5. There it is. You get 5 gigabytes for free. So it's a great service. It does take a little bit of legwork to get set up. But if you're like me and you're just looking for a nice place to be able to jump in here and throw some files, especially if you've got a really organized system and you're not going to be accessing these files very often, you've got fast, reliable storage, and it's pretty affordable. So the great thing about it is, since it's tiered, you only pay for what you're using. You don't have to worry about, signing up for Dropbox or Box or all these other accounts, where you have to pay for, some sort of tiered pricing for a bunch of storage that you're not using. You only pay for exactly what you're using. So if we jump back over here as well, again, there's a lot of different tools kind of stuck in here, so you can see really quickly how much a particular folder is using. So I can see here that it's using this much space, so that gives me an idea as well as how much I'm adding to this. So really cool service. I highly recommend you check it out. It costs nothing to get started, so if nothing else, you might want to just give it a try. You might find out that if you find a nice S3 client that you can work with, as well as a nice workflow for uploading and organizing your files in there. It just gives you the peace of mind of being able to archive your files without having to worry about a bunch of external hard drives or paying a bunch for a service that you're barely using. So give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Give me a comment down below. Tell me what services or what backup tools or what things have worked best for you. Hit that like button if you found this useful. Subscribe if you're not already. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.